glad to have you back, and if you're just joining us, well, welcome to today's edition of Nigeria Decides. Now, Nigerians woke up yesterday morning to the alarming news that the State Security Service had summoned Okechukwu Ibianu, INEC's head of operations and logistics, and other top officials of the Electoral Commission under the strange allegations that a logistical blunder that led to the postponement of the presidential and national assembly elections may have been deliberately facilitated to undermine the electoral process.
Now, the SSS has since backed down, but isn't this some sort of bullying of the INEC officials? Well, joining us now for a conversation on this, we have Olubenga Ayonuga, Green Party candidate, State Assembly, Odobolu constituency, and Babashola Adebui is a YPP governorship candidate for Ogun State. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Now, the first thing that comes to everybody's mind is that first the SSS decides to summon Okechukwu Ibianu and 4 other top officials of INEC, and in a sharp twist of fate, the call of the summon. What do you make of this conflicting stance? We know it's unrelated to the postponement of the elections, but they haven't publicly come out to say that exactly is the issue for the summon.
Yeah, but there are gists on the street that, because whether you like it or not, as they are hiding the reasons, a lot of people who are in the know are also, though some of those gists might not be 100% correct, but there are gists on the street that Ibianu, though being the head of logistics, was not in the know of a lot of things that happened in the in preparation for the last election that was cancelled, that an ad hoc logistic committee was set up, and staffs, you know, because it was discovered that a lot of the senior staffs in the logistic department are actually of southern extraction, you know, maybe got some people jittery, and then the ad hoc committee was set up, and the ad hoc committee, you know, messed up. Now, it may be true, it may not be true, but if you're looking at it from the prism of why would you invite someone, and then in a few minutes after having announced to the world that you are inviting this person, then you change your mind, then it is easy to deduce and say, okay, maybe there is an element of truth in the fact that they know that if they invite these people, cans of worms will be opened, and a lot of things that they don't want to get into the public domain that will, you know, can inflame the already tensed environment, you know, will be opened. So,
Babashola, do you think a phone call was a proper means of communication to call off the summon?
Actually, a phone call is not. For you to have written to INEC to invite the 5 guys to your office.
Did they actually write to INEC? Because the report I read it was a phone call still. The summons was
according to Yakubu, said that there was a letter sent to their office that personally he had not seen it. You get my point. Summoning the INEC, Obiano and others to that particular interrogation. But for them to have done that, I don't know if it is right or wrong, but for them to have not done that, I believe that a phone call is not the proper thing. It's just like you going to court, a judge gives a judgment, and you believe that's the end. No, there must be a court order to implement so that you can have that as a backup for your claim. You get my point? So making a phone call to me is not the right thing to do.
Okay, of course, we know that summon came, and then after a while it was revoked by phone call as well. But then the INEC chairman, during the briefings he has held over the past 3 days, kept sealed lips regarding the possible reasons why that happened. Of course, he told us that no official had been picked. People were pressing him to know the exact detail of what had happened and why his officials were being summoned. But then he didn't want to
well, wouldn't you think that it is possible that the INEC chairman is not, because it is true that they might call these people and say, oh, we need you to come and attend to us, which is an illegality in the first place. Because if you want to interrogate anyone of such caliber, of such national, you know, assignments level,
due process,
you have to follow due process, and that's all the issues that has been, because I mean, even the spokesman for the APC, Festus Keyamo, you know, said I think yesterday on one program that, you know, they are trying to use illegality to, you know, affirm legality, and you can't do that in a democracy. You cannot say because you are the vested authority. So the INEC chairman keeping a sealed lip, he might not have all the information yet. I mean, in this government, with all that we've seen so far, he might have skeletal information, and even if he had all the information, like I've said earlier, there are cans of worm that should better be kept, you know.
Now, we of course know that a 15-member committee, ad hoc committee is in charge of logistics, even though we know that Professor Ibano is in charge of INEC's Operations and Logistics Department. In November 2018, the INEC chairman set up that committee to handle logistics, and now we have seen how well they have done with what happened last Saturday.
So the question you should ask, sorry to interrupt you, is why would you, because before you get to the top position of head of INEC Logistics Department, they must have invested in you, sent you maybe within Nigeria for training and all the rest. Why would you train people and last minute to election, you are now setting up a ad hoc committee of people who are maybe at best event planners, you know, hairdressers, whatever they might have been? Because, see, there are things that I will never know if I had not participated in this election.
We wouldn't want to believe that INEC is not sound enough to ensure that its internal workings are filled with individuals who are capable. So just saying hairdressers and a whole lot more that...
The ad hoc committees are not all INEC staff.
Absolutely.
And so
exactly.
We know.
But in their appointment or in the forming of the committee, they would still have to be circumspect.
If they had done their homework, there is a news around town which they have yet to debunk, that one of their contractors is an APC senatorial candidate, which they are yet to debunk or to affirm whether it is true.
It has even been affirmed.
If they have done their findings right, that should not have happened in the first place. So if that could happen in awarding a contract to a candidate in the election, then what would you expect with the ad hoc committee? They could make any sort of mistake, and we've seen the result. If they were that good, if they had done their jobs right, we shouldn't have the cancellation.
Okay, let me bring you back to what I wanted to ask initially. The reality on ground is that Professor Ibano, with his position and with his training that you very well cited, is not a member of that 15-member committee. We know that. Now, how do we then begin to address this? Because a school of thought had come up that he is not even involved in logistics. He had been put aside and all that, and then he is still being summoned by phone call. That could it be that possibly the secret services do not even know what's going on in INEC? Could it be that they're going after the wrong person? So what is the issue here? Is INEC being as professional as it should be? Because obviously everyone should know.
No, the secret service know what's going on in INEC. Don't exonerate them. The thing is that we're not truthful to ourselves in this nation. They know what is going on. What happened is that immediately the news broke that there's cancellation due to logistical issues. Some people whom I believe might be pro-PDP, I don't have any evidence to that effect, put it online that Amina Zakari was in charge of logistics and all the rest.
That's fake news.
Yes,
still.
That's fake news. In order to counter the fake news, the government put it out and said it is Ibano that is in charge of logistics. Now, when they invited him, now they were quick to find a scapegoat, to put all the blame on. In the process of inviting him, maybe they discovered their grave error that, okay, this guy is the head of logistics who's supposed to be in charge of everything logistic. But he's been cut out, an ad hoc committee has been set up. If we invite him, there are things he will tell us, because people will begin to ask, why would you have an head of logistics and then someone else, like we've been having in this government.
The head of logistics that was
for the election.
He wasn't the only one invited, but of course he was the one who was called to cancel the summon. Do you expect that possibly the SSS would possibly invite members of the ad hoc committee? Do you see that coming?
I don't see that coming.
Okay, now, so gentlemen, some would also say that it seems like INEC is a disjointed house as it is, and nothing of this sort, especially with relation to the forming of the committee for the elections, happened under the leadership of the former INEC boss, Atayo Jega. What do you make of this assertion? Do you think this is an abnormality? Because if you have an individual supposed to facilitate or coordinate this process and then you now set up a committee, it didn't happen in the previous leadership, why should it happen now?
INEC has only one job, to conduct election, and if they have failed in doing that, then you know that there's a lot of anomaly. And if someone is supposed to be the head of a unit, I mean, there was a time I was the treasurer of my state youth fellowship in the church at the state level, but I discovered that those who are at the state headquarters are the one handling the treasury.
That's duplicating functions.
So I resigned. I told them, see, you can't call me a state treasurer. So tomorrow they will say someone stole church money, and then you say the treasurer should come and give an account when I didn't know when, how much entered. So the same thing is what, or something similar is what is happening in INEC here, and what those guys, the Ibiano and Co, should have been doing before now is to be crying out. But because we are not sincere, everybody just want collecting salary, and then if they like me, then push me as long as my salary no get problem. You understand? And that is killing us.
Babashola, do you think this is a duplication of function and it's unnecessary?
It's a duplication of function. Before you can decide on maybe calling on the ad hoc committee members or not, to me, we need to understand who actually constituted that particular committee. Is Ibiano aware of the committee? Or is it even the chairman of the committee? That's number one. Number two, if he's not aware, definitely the chairman of INEC would definitely be aware. You get? So, if we are going to invite anybody at all, like he mentioned, there is no way SSS can exonerate herself from that particular, from what is going on in INEC. So, if, what's the name, Yakubu, is coming out to tell us that there is a committee, then if anything is going on, he should be invited. What actually made that committee to fail? That's number one. Number two, why setting up ad hoc committee when you have staffs that are being paid to do the job? Except you are telling me now that, oh, today we are understaffed, they cannot do the job. So let the staff be sitting down, then the committee.
So do you think his leadership style should be questioned? Because people, there has always been this assessment, and until the elections are held, you cannot do a proper assessment of the Jega INEC and the Yakubu INEC-led administration. So do you think that his leadership style should be faulted?
Yes.
And there's the need for
But before faulting his
there?
leadership style, we need to know who is calling the shot, because they might come out and tell us that INEC is independent, nobody is calling the shot for them. But if we use our tongue to count our teeth, we might discover that there are people who are actually calling the shot and saying, hey, sit down there, stand up, go there, come back. You understand? And until we know those facts and figures for sure, it is too early to even blame Professor Mahmoud, because a lot of things are happening. The INEC rec in Kano State got killed with his whole family burned after the 2015 elections. You don't know what is going on behind the scene.
Okay, now let me bring your minds back to the APC caucus meeting where the president said that there will be an investigation of what happened and why INEC postponed the elections, but that it would be after the elections. Now, some have said, will you be on that seat by then? Are you sure? Because by Saturday, no one knows who would take the day. Then he's calling for an investigation. He said he will investigate after the election, possibly because he doesn't want any tension. And then the SSS makes that call. Are we already having the investigation even before the election? Because obviously, if they have made that call, it meant that they intended to ask questions regarding something that INEC is doing. We can categorically say that it's about the postponement of elections. We cannot second guess, but we know that it has to do, if you're called, and some other people from your office are also called, it means that it has to do with something that is going on that yes, in your office. So are we looking at a long series of investigations trailing the elections on this postponement by INEC, given that the APC has pointed fingers at the APC saying that they are working with INEC?
Actually, I believe for the president to call on what's it called? Investigation after the election. There is nothing wrong. If he's going, definitely after the election, will still be there. He's not leaving the office until May 29. That is if he's going to leave the office. So he still has the authority or the power to constitute a committee that will investigate what
Someone
actually
who
went.
does not win the election possibly wouldn't think of investigating, don't you think?
Well, we can take that way
No,
too, but at the
either he
same
wins
time,
or not, he's still the
it's
president,
the
and so he
president.
still has to do his duty till the last minute.
You get, so he can still do that. So for investigating the SSS is also doing the same thing, it's also a duplication. But I believe maybe if the investigation is carried out and they discover a lot of things, they can hand over to the SSS for them to work on.
Okay, now let's shift our focus to the culture of silence. We've seen officials keep mum here, looking at the INEC spokesperson, Festus Okoye. When it was time to reach him, well, it was unreachable, and then the spokesperson of SSS to Peter Afunaya too. When it was time to be reached for information, he said he was unaware. What do we make of this culture of silence?
Because in this nation, if you talk without the authority of the Oga from the top, you're gone, irrespective of whether you're saying the truth or not. You understand? And so it cut across a lot of spaces. I discovered an illegality in the Nigerian Treasury some time ago, but I couldn't talk about it because the people whom I showed it to said, you won't die. Then bring in money for your family. And when they began to explain a lot of things, and I saw samples, of course, you know, so in this whole case, it is not good for our country, it's not good for the growth of our nation, but until our laws can protect people when they are doing their job, you know, can truly protect people, I mean, then we will continue to have that culture of silence.
So are you then saying that our laws are toothless dogs and can't really bite?
Most definitely. I mean, let's give two examples. Recently, the whistleblower policy was signed some time ago. The first person who blew the whistle from the Ministry of Aviation or so, the guy got sacked. Someone blew the whistle on the Ministry of Niger Delta Development Commission, they got sacked. You know, it took the pressure from social media and all the rest for them to get reinstated. And I must tell you that the kind of hell most of them are passing through in their office, they will not be able to come out and say again. Because if they come out again, of course, they are gone forever.
Babashola, now a shifting ground first. The summon came, then a call to call off the summon. Are you expecting we'll see another summon sometime soon?
Well, it all depends on what they eventually discover. But personally, I don't think this is Nigeria.
Okay, now the elections will definitely hold on Saturday.
You can't be 100% sure of that.
Well, we are assured. We are assured. We watched the briefing, and INEC chairman was optimistic. He gave us an update.
For several months, there is only one job INEC has to conduct election, and they have 4 years to prepare. And even up to the last minute, Mahmoud told us that everything is ready.
Well,
so if they disappointed us the first time, once beaten, twice.
Okay, now, of course, we just have to go by what has been said. He's been on national television since Monday, every day, giving us an update of what they are doing to ensure that we don't get disappointed.
For 4 years, my sister.
We don't get disappointed on Saturday.
Let's hope so.
But then, with the summons that we have seen, is it good for morale? Because we need INEC to be up and doing. We need all officers to be on top of their game and in high spirit. We also know that ad hoc staff of INEC haven't been that encouraged with all that they have been through. So now that we are seeing this summons and all that, are they going to be demoralized?
Well, people are already demoralized. On Friday, Saturday, I was on the street till around 3 a.m. distributing, tags for my agents and all the rest, and doing all sorts of things to prepare my party for the elections. And a lot of them, with what happened, some people traveled from Lagos to the village. You know, thank God my own village is closer to Lagos. Some people travel from Lagos to the east, from Abuja to the east, from Lagos to Katsina. How do they get to repeat that again and then repeat it on March 9? It has already demoralized people. Some parties have already disbursed money to their party agent to be able to work on the Saturday. And in politics, any money will come out, they come back again. And you have to disburse the second time, which is making the whole process, more expensive for the candidates.
Then, where do we draw strength from in all of this? Cutting across INEC top officials, to the ad hoc staff, to INEC chairman, because of course he slept at the airport for 3 days straight. No one knows if he's still sleeping at the airport. And then Nigerians, electorates, where do we even draw strength from ahead of Saturday?
I think what the INEC needs to continue to encourage the electorate. And the party members, the candidates also need to encourage the electorate. And that's number one. Number two, we need to do this, the electorate needs to do this because they need to see from the perception of what they actually want to achieve, either to change the current government or to bring in a new one. You get? So we need to do that. Then another thing we need to do is we need to encourage ourselves not to lose hope. We're talking about the voters' apathy. This is one of the problems of voters' apathy because a lot of people will lose interest for not voting because they prepared for it. All of a sudden, someone just came.
And even official ad hoc staff apathy and all that, apathy everywhere.
Yeah. So people just need to wake up that this is Nigeria. We need to work for Nigeria.
I mean, if you check the voting pattern between 1999 and 2015, you will see that we have the lowest voters turnout in 2015, about 42-point-something%. And this same issue happened in 2015. There was a postponement of the election and all the rest.
But it was good time, you know.
Yeah, there was good time, but still.
For this particular one, just 4 hours to.
Don't you know that every day you spent before election as a politician, you're going to be spending money? While I was waiting in the room, I've received series of phone calls. Oh, we need to paste posters here. We need to visit these party leaders here, there. And you've got to spend money to them. So the longer it takes, the more you spend as a politician. And apart from you, even the people who want to vote, like the example of those who went home. Some people came from overseas just to be part of the election process. Maybe they took 1 week off from office to be part of it. You don't put all those in consideration.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your
so
contribution. It's been an interesting conversation looking at the SSS backing down on its summer. We've been speaking with Olugbenga Ayonuga, Green Party candidate running for State Assembly under Odogbolu constituency. And we also have in the House Babashola Adigbuyi, YPP governorship candidate, Ogun State. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
This is still Nigeria Decides on Plus TV Africa. We'll take a short break and then we will come back. And guess what? We'll be talking about INEC briefing. The chairman of INEC has been briefing Nigerians since Monday. And we have an update today at 3 p.m. He spoke to the nation again. We'll be right back for that discussion. Don't go away.